The Naked Eye by Joyce Bluford, animated by Doris Rea and Hagos Tewolde. Read by Phoebe Chen. Joanna was always excited about going to science lab. She loved the different equipment that they used. Her teacher, Mr. Abraham, always had a thrilling experiment waiting for them. One day, Mr. Abraham announced that they received new equipment that would allow students to view a new world. They would use the equipment tomorrow. The class did not know what to expect. Some thought it might be a high-powered telescope to see the stars, and others thought it was a fancy computer. Joanna could not wait. The night before science lab, she dreamt of what this new piece of equipment could be. She felt that maybe the equipment would train her to be a real scientist. She ran to school the next morning. She wore her lab coat that her grandma gave her for a birthday present. She was ready to use the new equipment. In lab, there was a simple-looking instrument at their desk. It was not fancy-looking and did not even need electricity. Mr. Abraham asked them not to touch it yet, because they needed to learn how to use it. Class, this is a compound microscope. It uses the physics of lenses and light to produce an image of tiny objects that you cannot see with your naked eye. The class giggled because Mr. Abraham was so animated. Paul raised his hand. Mr. Abraham, I don't understand. My eyes can see everything. If I just use a magnifying glass, I can see everything larger. That is a good point, Paul, Mr. Abraham started to explain. Magnifying glasses are technically a simple microscope, but they only enlarge small objects. The object may look larger, but it does not allow you to see the details. Look at some onion cells with a hand lens. It only makes it larger. Mr. Abraham continued to explain. A microscope can reveal detail. We call this resolution. The onion cells that you looked at were only an enlargement. If you look under a compound microscope, you see new structures. Let's look at the colors of this map, Mr. Abraham continued. Are they solid to your eyes? Everyone said yes. If you used a magnifying glass, it would still look like one solid color. However, if you look under this microscope, it would look like a series of dots. Dots? How could that be? Joanna was so happy to have this new instrument. She now can learn about a new world. The microscope that they were using was not complicated like other microscopes. Mr. Abraham explained that different sciences use different types of microscopes, but this one could prepare them to use complex ones in the future. The class learned the different parts of the microscopes. The eyepiece allows the user to look through the optic tube. The objective is placed closest to the object at a specific height. To determine the resolution of the compound microscope, you multiply the eyepiece magnification by the objective magnification. Joanna was learning so much. She wanted to look at everything under the microscope. They looked at the rugs and they learned that different fibers can be identified by details. For example, cotton is slightly twisted, while wool looks like a scaly corkscrew. Polyester, because it is not natural, is rod-shaped and smooth. They went outside and looked at different bugs. Joanna saw that the eye of a fly was full of dots. She was able to put the microscope over a resting fly. She saw the anatomy without killing it. She was happy. Mr. Abraham had them look at pond water. There were so many squiggly things in the water, it was difficult to catch one. They focused in on a wiggly S-shaped worm-like object in the water. They found out that it was a mosquito larva that would eventually become a mosquito. Joanna did not want class to be over. She wanted to look at more things to see if she could learn about the micro world. Mr. Abraham assured the children that they would be able to learn more if they come to science club. After 6 months of going to science club every day and looking at everything, Joanna was sad that she could not have a microscope during the summer. Mr. Abraham was so impressed by Joanna's love of the micro world that he talked with her parents and they bought Joanna her very own microscope. Joanna could not believe the gift she just received. It meant the world to her. She spent her whole summer looking for new and wonderful things by making slides and using the microscope. She recorded everything into her lab book. A scientist is born. The end.